In this video, we will be continuing on with our corridor design and talking about intersections specifically. So anywhere that two roads will come together, that would be what is considered an intersection. Now in the last video, we checked a few things. We designed the corridors with the cul-de-sacs and the knuckles, and I had all the horizontal alignments and vertical profiles done beforehand. So that made it a little bit quicker. Now, when we go to design an intersection, in this case, I have 3 T intersections. Now, the alignments, like I said before, should be perpendicular and touch the other alignment that's near it. So if I zoom into these two, the grip is the same as on the line. So these two are touching. If you had a four-way intersection, the alignment could extend past, and that all depends on how Civil 3D will handle things. So if you have it extending past, it will create a four-way. If you have it trimmed off at the main road, it'll create a three-way intersection. So we'll have a T here, we'll have a T intersection here, and we'll have a T intersection here. Now to take another quick look at the assemblies in the drawing, we have a primary collector, which we've already used down below, and a residential road, which we use for internal roads, and then the intersection-specific ones. So when we come to design an intersection, we need primary collector roads with right only, left only. Sometimes we cut it off at the center of the road. Sometimes we add the additional lane, just to what depends to how we want to make it work. We won't know what it looks like until we get it modeled in. As I've done this before and I'm just creating a video now, these assemblies work for what I want to show. So again, it is trial and error, especially in the case of the residential roads down here. The right only doesn't have the extra lane, but the left only needs the extra lane. And you'll see why when we go to do the cul-de-sac, why that happens. So again, when you run the intersection tool, Civil 3D will bring in a set of assemblies automatically for you, unless you build them beforehand. So everything we see when we type in the word tool palettes brings up our assemblies list. Everything we see down from primary road full section, secondary road full section, primary road through the intersection, daylight left, daylight right, this is what Civil 3D will bring in when it builds your road. And again, you can have them put these into your drawing automatically and then adjust them afterwards, or you can build the assemblies you need from the get-go and have it create the right road straight from the get-go. So as I already have my assemblies built, I'm going to close this and I'm going to go back over to my plan view. So I'm going to create 3 additional corridors. And again, they're going to be little tiny ones. It's only going to be one in here, there'll be one over here, and one up here. I don't want to add these into the main one, because if we remember back and go back into corridor properties, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 baselines in here, and about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pieces. So each intersection is going to add, I'm going to say maybe 5 or 6 baselines to it, and a bunch of additional pieces. So this box can get confusing really quickly, and you'll see when we get an intersection built. So first thing we need to make sure is that our alignments touch each other. So basically this alignment would trim off at this alignment. So they need to be touching. The second thing we need to make sure is that our design line is to both extents of the profile. So it snaps all the way to the left, snaps all the way to the right. Now how we handle the vertical connection, Civil 3D will do it for us. So general rule of thumb, I'll snap to the existing ground on one side, I'll draw my design line, I'll snap to the existing ground on the other side. Same with down here. And again, this will change a bit when I get the intersection put on, but if you want to snap to this, draw your line, snap to this over here. And let's just check the third one. And as we see here, it's cut it off a little bit, so I'm just going to extend it, and we'll just snap it to the end. Like that. So we'll give that a second. And Probably have to rebuild the corridor. I made a slight change. So always make sure you rebuild things. And leave your tool space open, leave the surface expanded, leave your corridors expanded. If something gets marked out of date and you've changed something, rebuild it. There is a rebuild automatic button, and again, I want you guys to be careful with this, because if you have too many things automatically rebuilding or you make a huge mistake, you could crash your program. Like if you accidentally delete your line or drag one of these grips 1,000 meters below ground, Civil 3D will build it, they'll update it, it'll try and build it, it might crash. So be careful with the rebuild automatic. Now let's get into the intersection tool. So my alignments are touching each other, my vertical profiles are from the extents on the left to the extents on the right of my profile. I'm going to type in the command create intersection. It's also up here in the ribbon if you want. So I'm going to hit create intersection. And Civil 3D says specify the intersection point. Well, I want the intersection to be right here. So click where the two alignments touch, and it opens up the intersection creation wizard. So let's name this. We're going to name it 64th Ave West intersection. The intersection marker style, we'll leave that default. The layer, we'll leave it default. The label, we'll leave it default. We won't show the label. We just need to see it to be able to select it if we have to. Now, the intersection corridor type. There's two things we can choose here. The primary crown maintained or all crowns maintained. So, primary crown maintained, whatever road we specify, whether it's 64th Avenue or Taradale Way, that will keep its crown, which means the road will be consistent all the way through. So the main road, in this case it'll be 64th Avenue, that road cross-section won't change. It'll be crowned, and our road will tie into that. If we went all crowns maintained, then we have almost, if you want to picture it, as a speed bump when we're driving down the road. So you'd come up, we'd be driving down 64th, we'd come up and bounce over Taradale Way and keep going down 64th. So generally, you want to go primary crown maintained. So we'll choose that setting, we'll select next. Now the next dialog box, and I've forgotten to grab the offset parameters and curb return parameters, but that's okay because there's another way we can change it. So this is where we would tell the offsets. So how far is it from center of road, the offset, to the edge of your pavement? So how far from center road to edge of pavement, and we have two different kinds of roads here. We have a primary collector and we have a residential road. Both of those will be different. And also our curb return parameters. So what radius are our curb returns at the lip of gutter, the edge of road, where your curb and gutter meets your asphalt. So those are two important things that you need to know. And again, we can put those in afterwards. So just to click on offset parameters. Right now, this is set for 3 meters, 3 meters, 3 meters, and 3 meters. There is a way we can change this. So, primary road, 64th Avenue. Let's use this little tool. And here's my center line. Here's my edge of road. So, we'll see what this returns for a number. 9.45 meters. Let's go with that and see what it comes up with. 9.45. Now my secondary road, so this will be my residential road. How far is it from here to here? 4.25 meters. And again, all we would have to do is go look at our assemblies and we can figure that out. So set both sides to 9.45, set both sides to 4.25. Our center line goes directly down the middle of the road, which is why they're the same number. So we'll click OK. Now curb return parameters. This is asking you for the radius. And right now it's set for 10 meters. Let's see if we can grab a radius off this. So if we go from there to the center of this, 9 meter radius. So in that, those are my numbers in that case. So 9 meter radiuses. and then we're going to find out if my offsets were correct when we go to create this. So having those numbers beforehand from the design guide, write them down, then you don't need to go through the steps we just did, and I may have to change it afterwards. We're going to leave the lane slope parameters and curb return profile parameters dialog boxes alone. We're not going to go adjust them. So we'll click next. And this is where we tell the corridor how to build. So in the very top, create corridors in the intersection area. Well, yes, I want to make one. I want to make a new corridor. You could add it to the existing one, like I said before, but that's going to become convoluted and confusing really fast if you just build everything together all at once. So we're going to create a new corridor. We don't have to worry about daylighting. And down here is where we can set up our assemblies. So if I were to just click OK now, create intersection, Civil 3D would create their own assemblies and plop them off into the right of my drawing. So they'd use primary road, full section, daylight left, daylight right. So the ones I showed you in tool space. But I can come in and change these to what I need. So the curb returns, if we picture driving down the road, and actually let me just cancel that for a second, move this out of the way. If we're driving down the road, we're going from here, we're turning right, we're going up here. So again, direction of travel and the way Civil 3D builds these. Depends which side you use. So I'm going to start off with curb return, the fillets on the right. Not the left like I used for my knuckles and cul-de-sac. My primary road full section will be primary collector. My primary road part section will be primary collector daylight left. Primary road part section will be daylight right. Secondary road. So my primary road was the 64th Avenue. My secondary road is my residential. So we'll say residential street, daylight left, residential street, daylight right. So we'll click OK now. If you want to save this as a set, say you make primary collectors and residential streets all the time, save this as you can save it as a set. Just quickly load it next time as long as you've named everything the same, and it'll save you 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm going to click Create Intersection, and let's hope I set all those up correctly. So here's my intersection, and it looks like I've made a mistake on my primary road here. It's modeled the residential road correctly, but when we came into this one, so let's see what it's done. So we go into corridor properties, and I'll do that again. So as you see, I have another corridor here, and I have this corridor here. So they're two separate ones. Select the intersection, we're going to go into corridor properties. And as you see, we've added 4 baselines. I said 6 earlier, but it's 4 here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different pieces. Now if I move that over and allow us to see as we go through this list, it tells you what it's using. So even though I set my road up, it's used a primary collector when I want it to be, or no, I do want it to be primary collector. So I'm going to have to go look at that and see what's wrong with my assemblies. Residential road, residential street. So let's go look at my primary collector. Okay, so around an intersection, we can't use this type of assembly with the 2 lanes. It tries to stretch it, I believe, is what the problem is. So if I come in here and go corridor properties, we can set this primary collector to, I believe, primary road full section is the one it needs to be. Apply, rebuild. And that wasn't it either. So I'm going to pause the video while I try and figure this out. Okay, after a little looking around, it was set up correctly the first time. Civil 3D just didn't build the corridor properly. So I'm going to come back in here and set this up for primary collector. and this up for primary collector. So when I rebuild this now, it has the right offsets. Ignore this little piece that hangs over, but our property lines tie in. And down here, our edge of roads tie in. So when I highlight the corridor, edge of road here to here. So let's go confirm those numbers that I typed in earlier. So if I come over to my assemblies and I measure the distance, I want to measure the distance from the center line to my lip of gutter. So edge of road, lip of gutter. And that was 9.45 if we look at the delta X. And we'll measure the residential road just to make sure that was as well 4.25. From here to here. Delta X 4.25. So I've used the right offsets. I have no explanation for why Civil 3D didn't build it properly the first time. But again, just go in there and reset up the settings, click apply to layout, and rebuild your corridor, and it'll come up with what you want. Now there's a bit more tweaking we need to do down here, but that might be covered in another video. So right now this corridor is hanging out 20 meters away. This one's hanging out about 5 meters away. These two appear to either be overlapping or they're slightly off. So again, we had just set these up tentatively in the last video, so I'm going to select this grip and I'm going to drag this one away a little bit, just so I can make sure I don't have any overlap. And then I'm going to select it and drag it back and snap to the other corridor. So it's created a complete piece in here. I'm going to do the same for over here. And again, give it a second to rebuild. We're working with a lot of objects here, and my 1 meter sampling width on my corridor is not lending to speed here. So we've got a completed corridor down here. I'm going to go and generate a surface from this the exact same way I did the other one. And I wouldn't worry too much about the cleanup in here. At this point, we're just using this to get a road surface, and we'll show all the information we need with line work. So under corridor properties, surfaces, I want to make a surface, top, so model the very top, and I'm going to call this 64th Ave West intersection. Again, name things. We have a lot of stuff going on in our drawing now. And this one I'm going to add a boundary to. So corridor extends its outer boundary. It's a small little corridor, there's no gaps in it, it'll build a surface just fine. So hit OK, rebuild. And as you see here, we have a surface defining our road. So if I object viewer this, and put it onto this window if I can, again, it looks a little bumpy around some of those curbs. This is just the way Civil 3D model stuff. This is minor in the grand scheme of things right now. We just need to get our road surface so we can start designing stuff. So we can see our road go through, this road come through, and then this road ties in as well. So Civil 3D has built all of this for us. So I'll close that for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and build the second intersection the same way that I built the first one, the same numbers, 9.45, 4.25, the same radiuses. It's the same settings, the same two roads are connected. So again, create intersection at this point here. 64th Ave West intersection. Primary crowd maintained. We'll click next. Offset parameters. Again, it doesn't save your numbers from before. So this was 9.45. This was 4.25. We'll click OK. Curb return parameters. 9, and again, remember to click the next button, set this one to 9 as well. Okay. We'll go next. And again, we'll have to set this up again. So if you had saved it as a set, you wouldn't have to do this a second time. But really, it doesn't take very long. So primary collector. Let's see if this does the same thing with the primary road that it did on the last one. So daylight left, daylight right, residential road, daylight left, residential road, daylight right. Create a new corridor. We're going to create an intersection. So it looks like it has done that for this one as well. So corridor properties. I wonder if I can just set these back to primary collector. No, so I have to completely change them. So we'll just go road full section, apply, rebuild, and then set them back for primary collector. And those are correct now. So one thing that Civil 3D hasn't done is name these for us. So right click on your corridors, go properties. Now corridor 11 was the one on the west. We've made a surface on it. We can tell that. So 64th Avenue West intersection. We'll just rebuild it. We'll rename this one 64th Avenue East intersection. And while we're in here, let's make a surface for it as well. Top codes, boundaries, corridor extents, apply, rebuild, okay. And if we take a look at this one now, we'll object viewer this. And it looks similar to the other one, but not quite. So we've now built two intersections. And there is a way of cleaning these up, but again, in this case, it's not really worth your time. So we're going to extend these grips and join our road together here. And my snap is not working. So we'll do that for the three sides here. And now we'll come and do the last side. So because these two roads are using the same vertical baselines, you've told it to use your primary road or your secondary road profiles, your contour lines here should theoretically line up. Now they are overlapping. It's causing a bit of a display issue right now, but we can clean that up afterwards. So let's move to this other last intersection. I'm going to move this back just a little bit more. And let's get the radius of these corners quickly. Annotate radius. So, okay, those are still radius 9. Now, Civil 3D will build our corridor, but we're going to have to tweak it slightly. It's going to build some weird artifacts in there, just due to the two angles of the roads. So again, create intersection. I want it to be right here. I'm going to name this residential road intersection. We'll only have one of them. Primary crown maintained. Your offset parameters. So 4.25, 4.25, 4.25, 4.25. And again, confirm these numbers with your jurisdiction, what your road actually is. Curb return parameters, same with these. Confirm and don't just copy my numbers. 9. Okay, so then we'll go next. Against the same curb return fillets. Our primary road this time though is a residential street. Residential street, daylight left. Residential road, daylight right. Residential road, or residential street again. Daylight left. And daylight right. So again, our primary and our secondary roads are both residential in this case. So we'll create an intersection. And I've actually already fixed the corridor where it was going to create issues. But what it was building, it would build your road lane up into here, up here and across. So your road lane was cutting into the other direction of travel. And it was just causing some overlap issues and bumps in the road when you go to create a surface. So I'm just going to cut these back now. Tie it into here. Tie all 3 roads together again. And then I'm going to... We'll get there when I'm done this, but we're going to make another surface with a boundary. And then we're going to create a master surface. So we're going to take all 4 of our road pieces and we're going to put them together. And make sure you snap so you have no gaps in your data. Oh. I'm going to bring this down and tie this one in. So we got our roads tied together now, corridor properties. And what I'm also going to do is go into my 3 intersections and increase the modeling to 1 meter. I'm going to make everything consistent. So surfaces, we'll call this residential road intersection. Top link, boundaries, corridor extents. And then set all my frequencies. So I'm going to set these ones to 1 as well. Okay, rebuild. And we've got a very big hole here now. So something has gone on with the corridor modeling. We've created a hole down to, I believe, 0 elevation. And that will have to be looked at. So we'll have to fix that probably in another video. Okay, so I've simply just removed that section from modeling for now. So to do that, select your corridor, right-click corridor properties. Come in here, we'll just turn it off. So I'll need to figure out... I'll probably have to create some alignments and profiles and figure out exactly what Civil 3D is doing in here to make it drop down to 0 elevation. I don't think it has anything to do with the targets. No. No, it's at Taradale Way, Taradale Place, Design. Okay, so it's using my 64th Avenue existing ground surface here. And as you see, we have a lot of alignments now. Extension. Or sorry, Taradale Place. So again, I'll have to look at that and maybe make another video on fixing that. So let's just get this wrapped up. So we'll click OK. I'll go increase the sampling of these 2, corridor properties. Set all frequencies to 1. Rebuild. Same with this one, corridor properties. Set all frequencies. 1. Okay, rebuild. So we've got 4 separate surfaces now, 4 separate corridors. Make sure everything's rebuilt. Turn that back off. And I'm going to create a surface. So this is my finalized road top. So we'll go OK. And I'm going to freeze these other surfaces off for now so we can watch as things happen. Freeze that off. Freeze that off. Freeze that off. And in fact, let's freeze the corridors as well. So in my tool space now under finalized road top, I'm going to go under edits and I'm going to paste surfaces. Now the order we do these in is extremely important. So the order we want to start with is so it would be, for example, existing ground. That's what we're starting with. Our first road we designed, that we designed everything else off, is our residential road. So we need to start with this one first. Anything we paste on top of this will overwrite other information that we paste in there. As you can see, there's some wonkiness going on in the intersection here, but we'll take care of that by pasting in our west intersection, our east intersection, and our road intersection. So again, I forgot to rename one of them. So we'll hit OK. And we see that's cleaned up the contour lines and it's now a nice smooth transition. Except up in here. So in another video, we'll go through how to fix some of these little surface issues, how to pull this median back. We'll go through how to fix what Civil 3D has done with the corridor up in this spot. So again, that's creating a corridor for your residential road. And sometimes the angles cause weird issues. Again, that's all part of the process. We need to go through that. We need to figure out what's wrong. We need to possibly fix it. And one final thing, let's look at this in 3D. So let's look at object viewer of our residential road here. And again, it is interpolating between the roads, but that will be cleaned up for a final surface. So we have all our roads in here. They're all tied together. Again, we'll fix that in another video. We'll fix some of this in another video. And one last look at the profiles, just to show you what Civil 3D does. If we look at Taradale Way, I can now click on this and we have 2 locks on the end. So this means Civil 3D has joined the roads together. These roads are combined to this road up here. This one here is locked because it's combined with this one. So Civil 3D locks it for us. We can't modify those too much. If we do, we'll break the link. So again, that's just creating a corridor. We'll go diagnosing the issues in another video.